Well, and let's not just talk about water flooding the house.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
There's lava.
There is lava. You're going to guess this is probably only subject in one state.
Right. And by the way, if you're doing loans in Hawaii, you already know this, right? Everybody's seen the lava zones. You've got lenders that will lend on certain lava zone numbers. But yeah, it's all graded same as a flood would be, right? So, where are we less likely? Where are we more likely?
Yeah, so 1 and 2, you can see they're red. Red hot, like lava. They don't lend there. I worked for a company. We did a lot of loans in Hawaii. And the first time I saw it, I'm like, lava insurance? That's crazy. It exists. And again, it exists there solely. You know, and they think like Mount St. Helens is just north of us, right? Although, I guess when that erupted, there wasn't like a lava flow.
Yeah, there was a little bit.
For my time, Grandpa, I can't remember anything.
So back in the day, my wife was in Montana at the time, and the ash just dropped all over all their cars.
Yeah.
It reached out a long ways. You should look it up.
I mean, I've heard things.
She sees a mountain that doesn't have a top on it, and she's like, that must have blown up at some point. Yeah.
Once upon a time. Back in my day. So flood insurance, lava insurance, these are just additionals that you should be aware of that may or may not be forced upon your borrower. The lava insurance thing, though, it is a little trickier. What you really should be paying more attention to is the zones in which you can and cannot lend to. And that's Fannie, right? Those are agencies saying, no, we're not taking the risk. We don't want the house that you're lending on to, get burned up in a lava field.
When you always talk about how everything a borrower gives you tells a story, right? The bank statement's going to tell a story. The income's going to tell a story. The house has its own story. And what you're saying is you don't know the story behind every house. You should be looking into this. If the borrower's doing a refi, chances are they already know whether it's a flood zone because they're paying flood insurance. If they're wanting to buy a place, then it's more research that you should do just to find out is this going to affect our debt to income ratio, especially with that change that brought the prices up for some people.
Right. And understand that these zones change. Right. So keeping up to date on your maps in your local areas and just understanding what's going on with those communities where you typically lend, I think that's just good practice. And it's something to think about too, because I was reading an article the other day. 1 in 10 houses are affected by natural disasters right?
Yeah.
So it's huge. And anybody who's kind of been in the industry long enough, you know what that means to you because we've had a lot of fires here the last couple of years. I'll tell you, when that happens, that red flag goes off in your head like, oh no, like, is that house still standing, right?
So, I remember the earthquake that happened in Alaska. We actually couldn't rent a room in Alaska, even though it was like February, March, or something like that, because so many people had come up to help with the efforts to get everything back to normal. But I remember all of my Alaska friends that are loan officers saying what a pain that was, where red flags go up. We need to find out if the house is still, if it was affected by the earthquake. So any natural disaster. And we have a lot of clients in Houston, in some of those areas in the South where they were affected by some of these major storms and they needed to send an appraiser back out there. So know that if you do have some sort of natural disaster, in addition to just the flood insurance things we talked about, it's going to set off red flags, and people are going to want to know if we've still got or if we have an issue with the property, if we can still fund.
And just if you want to take the extra step, I've worked for lenders where this was required, and I've worked for some where this was never spoken of. Pull a FEMA search on the property in that area, the county, any of it, just to see what's going on. It's good to have in the back of your head that you are truly lending on a good property because you never want it to come back after closing like, well, the house is, we can't live in it.
It's not about you. We like you. It's just the house. Yeah, you don't want to run into that. So let's look at a video. We'll kind of end with a video of what happens in a lender when there is a natural disaster.
Love it.